Hi, everybody. This is something to talk about. My name is Taco, and yeah, we're going to talk about a Song of Ice and Fire character. Why? I don't know. I'm a little tired, and I think I got to say this. Hi, welcome to something to talk about. My name is Taco, and I got dressed up for this one. And yeah, we're gonna talk about Rego Draz. What? Yes, we're going back to some Fire and Blood. We're gonna talk about a Master of Coin. We're gonna get all crazy. And yeah, this takes a left turn. This one. Yeah. So what's going on here? If you've never been here before, well, click like and subscribe. But also pause this, read this. You're caught up. Welcome back. Yeah, that was a wink. Can you see it? It's hard to tell. All right. Yeah, so we're talking about Rego Draz. So we're going back into time of Fire and Blood Volume 1, and we're getting into King Jaehaerys, the beginning of his rule. And yeah, let's get nerdy, yo. I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I've been wanting to talk about this character for a long time, and he was very far down my list, honestly. And I didn't really I was going to talk about a completely different character, and I was excited to talk about that character, but there was some complications, and I wasn't quite sure how to cover them, and I was like, dang it. So then I went down the list, and I was like, all right, let's do Rego. So we're doing Rego Draz. Let's go. So yeah, Rego Draz was a merchant trader, a money changer from Pentos. He became the master of coin in King's Landing during the reign of young old King Jaehaerys after the king reached his majority. Rego was said to be corrupt, stealing from the king, charges which he denied, stating he himself was wealthier than the king. So why would I be stealing from the king? I'm wealthier than he is. He showed off his wealth by wearing silken robes, kind of like me. It's not. It's a robe, but it's not silk. So I don't know why I said that. Moving on. All right. All right. Yeah, so he wore silken robes and ruby rings, and by 59 AC, after conquest, Rego had grown quite stout, has taken to moving between his manse and the Red Keep in an ornate gilded palanquin. So yeah, Rego worshipped a small household idol, which looked like a pregnant woman with swollen breasts and a bat's head. Hot. That is hot. He never married, but he did father three bastard sons who learned their father's business at his knee. Yeah. So that's it. So that's who Rego is. So yeah, I don't know why I stopped the pause. We'll just get to the next one. So this is why I stopped the pause. I do have a reason. I normally talk about on the second slide their house, but Rego doesn't have a house. House Draz doesn't exist. He's from Pentos. So I'm going to talk about Pentos. I've never had an opportunity to talk about Pentos before. So here we go. Pentos is one of the free cities in western Essos and a large port city, more populous than Astapor on Slaver's Bay, located closest to of all the free cities to King's Landing and Westeros. Pentos is one of the westernmost of the free cities. The city lies on the Bay of Pentos, weird, off the narrow sea, in the flatlands in the Velvet Hills to the east. That's nice. Pentoshi descended from the Andals, Valerians, slaves, and ancient peoples. Like the Bravosi and the Lysini, that's from Lys and Bravos, respectively, the Pentoshi are great lovers of song and generous with those who please them. Some of the men dye their hair, oil, and fork their beards, which is really cool. So they got cool forked beards. They're all about dyeing their hair and having really sweet beard and hairstyle. I love the Pentoshi. All right, I do. They're great. Very punk. All right. Pentos has a much higher population than Astapor. Bastard of Valerian is spoken in Pentos. Numerous gods are worshipped and at Pentos, including R'hllor and that weird naked bat chick that Rego rocks. All right, let's talk about his early life. So humble beginnings. Rego started with nothing but rose to become the richest man in Pentos. He eventually had 3 bastard sons. However, due to his low birth, he was largely shunned by the other wealthy Pentoshi and and denied a seat on the city's Council of Magisters. Meanwhile, in 50 AC, the young King Jaehaerys, reached his age of majority and gained control of his kingdom. So he needed to fix the small council and moving around members and finding new ones. So most difficult to replace was Lord Edwell Celtigar, the ineffectual master of coin. Eventually, Jaehaerys appointed Rego Draz from Pentos to the position because he had enough of the scorn because he had enough scorn of the Pentoshi. Rego was glad to accept the offer in the Westerosi king and came to King's Landing and became the new master of coin on the small council. It's a really cool scene when he decides Rego, because he's like, all right, this Celtigar sucks and like ruined a lot of stuff. Like we need to get our money in order. We need to figure some stuff out. So they're like, all right, what about a Lannister? And he goes, why? They're like, well, they're rich. It's like, yeah, because they have mines. Like, unless the Lord Lannister can find a bunch of gold underneath the Red Keep, then we'll keep looking, Like, so he found somebody who earned all of his money, which is a great idea for a Master of Coin because you need somebody who understands how to save money and work with it and make more money with money. money. That's my Krusty Krab impression. So yeah, that's why he was picked. And then he gladly, because everyone in Pentos didn't really like him because he grew up poor, he's like, screw you guys, I'm gonna go join the freaking small council in King's Landing, Westeros, yo. See you later, Pentos. Bye. That's what he did. That's a video of him that was not even me. It was a video of him. So where we were at humble beginnings. The Lord of Air. Rego moved to King's Landing with his family and fortune and was granted the title of a Lord by King Jaehaerys. He was Lord without lands, castle, or sworn men. Some wit japed he was the Lord of Air because he didn't have anything, right? And then Arrigo amused, if I could tax air, I would be a lord indeed, he would say, which is really great. So, what did I just say? So, he's Lord, Master of Coin, Lord Rego Draz. Lord of what, right? He didn't grow up there. He doesn't have any lands in Westeros. He doesn't have any people. He doesn't have any subjects. He doesn't have any small lords, knights, whatever, right? So since he was Lord of Nothing, people called him Lord of Air, and he just flipped that on him. He was like, dude, if I was Lord of Air, I'd be taxing all you some bitches. Which I love. He's great. I like Rego Draz a lot, clearly. Although offered residence in the Red Keep on many occasions, Rego chose to live in a manse on the Street of Silk below the Dragon Pit. Yes, that comes in to play later on. He doesn't want to hang out in the Red Keep, man. He's about that city life. He wants to go hang out and in the freaking King's Landing. So the new taxes. Rego excelled as a master of coin, and he was one of the key men responsible for rebuilding the realm's economy after the wars of King Maegor the Cruel had left the crown severely in debt. He reached out to the Iron Bank of Bravos and its rivals in Tyrosh and Myr, arranging 3 substantial loans. With these loans, the construction of the Dragon Pit could finally continue. Together with King Jaehaerys, Rego abolished the deeply unpopular trade laws of Lord Edwell Celtigar, like a number of new taxes upon the small folk, such as tripling port fees of King's Landing, Lordsport, and Old Town. Edwell had certain goods taxed, both coming in and going out of the city. A new levies were asked of innkeeps and builders in their place. So, Rego and Joe instituted a series of luxury tax and expensive foreign imports such as spice, as well as castle crenellations. What did I say? Okay, so Celtigar was bad at his job, and he was more taxing the small folk, and he was putting on all these different port fees, and he was kind of destroying a lot of the economies around. So what they did is they decided, we'll not just put a blanket fee over every port, but we'll tax the rich without them realizing that we're targeting the wealthy. We'll just do these luxury taxes, right? So if you want spice and stuff that you don't need to live off of, but a fancy guy wants some salt and pepper on his eggs in the morning, right? So they're taxing that stuff. So these are more luxury stuff. And then also they wanted to then tax any type of castle like renovation. So if you wanted to make your castle bigger, that gets taxed. So it's a good way of making sure that your lessers don't all of a sudden make a new Harrenhal, right? But it also gets you money. So it's another luxury. So if somebody goes, hey, we don't like your taxes, then you can say, cool, don't put on that new house. Like, you're fine then. Sweet. Then don't add then stop eating pepper and salt and saffron or, oregano, whatever you rich folk eat. So yeah, it was like luxury taxes, which is really smart because rich people like luxury, and they won't notice their money getting taken so quick. All right, unpopular. See, it's a great idea. Next slide, unpopular. However, Draz quickly grew to be unpopular as his predecessor had been, on account of his alleged corruption, his religion, which was, just a naked bat lady, and his ancestry, his wealth, and foreign origins. With the Faith of the Seven being very important faction during during Jaehaerys' reign, Rego's sexy Batgirl idol angered many. When the taxes on silk, spice, and crenellations proved to be insufficient to cover all the crown's expenses, Lord Rego imposed a new levy, a gate fee, required of passing the gates of the city with additional fees for animals, wagons, and carts. So their new taxes helped, and it kind of worked, but they were spending too much. He's trying to fix this and trying to finish the Dragon Pit, and he wants to build roads and all this stuff, right? That's what King Jaehaerys wanted to do. And you needed more than just that salt and pepper spice money. So they started putting up tolls, like gate fees. So yeah, so that was another thing. So he grew very unpopular, and also he's from out of town. He doesn't have any friends. He's already kind of going uphill at court. So by that I mean, it's not like he has people to back him up. He doesn't have any relations. He's just a guy. He's just there. So yeah, grew rather unloved rather quickly. Oh, there we go. Rego's councils. This is just a couple of the counsel that he's given during his time as Master of Coin. So after Alyssa Foreman stole 3 dragon eggs, spoilers, from House Targaryen and Dragonstone in 54 AC, Rego aided Grand Maester Bennifer by reaching out to his agents across the narrow sea for any news on the eggs, dragons, or Alyssa Foreman herself, to no avail. That same year, Rego suggested bribing some of the most devout to ensure that the new High Septim was elected, was favorable for the Iron Throne. But the suggestion was rejected by the king. Maybe. I think that King Jaehaerys is a lot more deceptive and kind of back alley dealings than the histories give him credit for. Because the histories really love King Jaehaerys. I think he probably did, right? Because they want, so a new High Septim, like a new pope, right, is being elected. And they don't want these ones that hate him. A lot of them hate Targaryens. So they have to pull all these back alley deals, and he works with the High Towers and works with these, and he gets a High Septim who works out perfectly for him. And Rego's like, you should bribe him. You should bribe people. And he goes, no. He probably did. I'm just saying. I have no reason behind it. I just think he was like, no, Rego, you crazy. Here's $100, man. Go bribe that one. I got an image here. That's what I think. All right. So after several mysterious deaths on Dragonstone were put before the small council, So I'm gonna stop really quick to say, kind of spoilers for Fire and Blood. I mean, all this is spoilers for Fire and Blood, but not for House of the Dragon or anything. Not this. It takes place before the show, but all these deaths start happening on Dragonstone, where the king's sister. Holy crap! How do I forget? She's one of my favorites too. Um, is it Rhaena? Rhaena Targaryen? I think it's Rhaena. Dreamfire Rhaena. Yeah, Rhaena Targaryen is there, and she has like a dopey husband, and then all of a sudden, all of her friends start dying, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's like the Shivers. It's the plague. It's the sickness." And Rigo knows what's up. So yeah, Rigo having read the Maester's asylum accounts, Anselm, Maester Anselm's accounts declared the sickness was caused by the tears of Lys, a poison, and he was right with Andrew Farman becoming a monster. Yeah, Andrew Farman became a monster and started poisoning people, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, it's poison." He didn't even have to smell anything. He read the books, and it's like, "Oh, the Maester died, and then all the people who she was close to died next. That's a weird acting sickness. They're being poisoned." And I think that's supposed to hint that like Rigo's like, "Dude, I've poisoned people before. I know how to do it. You kill the doctor first." Come on, everybody knows that. So the Shivers. So during the harsh winter of 59 AC, in the ensuing plague of the Shivers, famine sent through the Seven Kingdoms. So many of the city's watch of King's Landing had died of the sickness. Oh no. And that the city became a lawless outside of the Red Keep. One day, as he was traveling in his palanquin through Flea Bottom, Rego came across a starving mob who became enraged at the sight of him being so overweight and a foreigner and a very rich like palanquin. So they dragged him from his palanquin and killed him brutally, blaming him for bringing the plague to Westeros as a foreigner. Rego's head was bashed using a cobblestone from one of the new streets that he himself helped pay for. Right, he as he lay dying, they ripped off his clothes and cut all of his fingers off. Jeez, to claim the rings that he had. So they chopped all his fingers off. Learning about Rego's death, an enraged King Jaehaerys went forth to the city with a few guards. With the few guards that were left, and found the men responsible. When Kingsguard member Joffrey Doggett, I did a video for Joffrey Doggett. I'm bringing this up in it. So when Joffrey Doggett saw the king's face, Joffrey thought for a moment that he was looking to the face of King Maegor the Cruel. Young Joe had them hung from the walls of the castle with their entrails hanging out. Oh yeah, there was a left turn there. So he gets murdered by like an angry mob who's mad about all the sickness, and they see this rich dude and they're like, he's a foreigner, he brought the disease. So they tore up his clothes off and chopped his fingers off. It's brutal, and then smashed his head in with the cobblestone. So King Jaehaerys liked Rego Draz. He was one of his small council. He became close friends on like the 9 years or whatever that he was there. So he freaks out, and he goes out there with Joffrey Doggett, who's one of my favorite Kingsguards, and he's like, guys, we're gonna torture these dudes and cut their entrails out. And as he's ordering this, Joffrey Doggett's like, dude, you look like Maegor the Cruel right now. And he's like, yeah? all right. Let's hang them up and cut their entrails out. Holy shamola. All right. Man, you really liked Rego Draz, huh? Okay, so as you can tell, Rego just died, so that was the end of his story, but we have our final slide where we're going to talk about a little bit of symbolism. And I'm getting a little political. I don't like doing politics here, but it's part of this, so sorry. Please don't come after me in the comments. First off, I like what his death showed us. So his death and Illyrium Pentos, with how the plague and hard times can be blamed on foreigners and it turning to violence. We saw this in real life, COVID-19, an event that happened after this book came out, right? So the COVID thing was after. Don't worry, I'm not getting into it too much. Yeah. I'm leaving it there. I'm just gonna back up what I mean with there was like prejudice attacks against like Chinese Americans because the disease was said to come from China, so on and so forth. Not getting into it. I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified. I'm just saying I think that's what George here is doing, is making a link to how people panic during like, plagues or pandemics or anything like that, or any really hard time, and they take it out on violently out on people. And a lot of times, because disease will come from a different land, um or it does, I don't know why I did this, sometimes, it originates from different lands, so they blame foreigners. Of course those foreigners didn't bring it. you know Rego had nothing to do with it. The people who got attacked in our real life had nothing to do with the spread of a disease. But it's that panic where probably once sane people do crazy stuff, and plague or disease or famine or any time where things get really hard can drive people to these really violent acts. And I think that's what George is just showing us. It's just a mirror to, yeah, you guys do that stuff too when it gets hard. Getting out my soapbox. Getting out my soapbox. I don't like to talk politics, but sometimes it's hard to talk about symbolism that George puts in when I'm talking politics. Sorry, moving on. Also, I came across a Reddit post by Anale. His name's Anale, or their name, that points out the parallels between Rego Draz and Illyrio Mopatis, possibly hinting at how Illyrio may die. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities. Illyrio even had like poison dish at one point. Rego like knows about poison, right? They're both from Pentos. They're both really wealthy, independent. Both came from nothing. There's a lot of similarities between Rego Draz and Illyrio Mopatis. And maybe if fake Aegon takes over King's Landing, maybe he's gonna bring in Illyrio, and then maybe when Grayscale breaks out, they're gonna rip Illyrio apart like they did with Rego. Maybe. That would be nuts. But yeah, that's it. I'm thank you guys for watching. Sorry that I got on a soapbox a little bit, but I feel like that was relevant. And yeah, Rego Draz. I'm so happy I finally got to cover this character. You guys like my robe? My wife got it for me for Christmas. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. And yeah, whatever you do, do not beat somebody to death in the streets. Don't. It's bad. It's bad luck. Peace.